Evening. This is Gloria Taylor Brown, and this is the 20th edition of A Gathering of Priestesses, and we are blessed this evening with the lovely Kimberly Moore from Boca Raton, Florida, or if you're from New York, Boca. And she is the founder of the MotherHouse of the Goddess, and also runs circles down there. You know, I ran circles whenever I lived in southern Florida too. It seems to be something that you have to do. Not the circles where you have women just run around in circles, not knowing where you're going. Sorry, folks, this is one of those days, and I don't know where I'm going tonight. All I know is we've got a lovely lady with us, and she's going to be answering some questions. And I was on her Blog Talk Radio show on Tuesday, so I invite you to listen to that as well. You hear more about me there. But this is not about me tonight. We're going to make it about her. So, Miss Kimberly, I'm going to start you out with the question we always start out with on A Gathering of Priestesses. What drew you to the priestess path?
Oh, hi, Gloria. It's so nice to see you instead of just by voice. And, well, let's see. I moved to Florida from Delaware in 1994. And I found a community within a month. And all of a sudden, there were people like me. And it was really marvelous. So I met the woman that has been my best friend for 20 years. We started a grand spiritual adventure together, connected with the community down here, and then before I knew it, it was really marvelous. I was connecting with people. I was reading books that I didn't even know existed by, Louisa Tish and Carol Chris, Janine Cannon. I mean, all the names. Patricia Monahan, and all of them, and that's what really started it for me. And within a few months, I started doing a weekly. During the week, I worked, full time in healthcare, and on the weekends, I ran an all-night coffee house every Saturday night at Daughters of Isis, one of the stores that was down here, and then I got to meet everyone. We used to have 80 to 100 people come through a night every week. And, people from all the different covens and the Gardnerians and the Celts and the Stragas and the Alexandrians and, all the Wiccans and pagans and then the, metaphysical people and light workers and ceremonial magicians. It was kind of like, a trial by fire. And I vibed with it. And I connected with the goddess that I had been talking to since I was about 5 years old. And I finally began to be able to put names to the face. And it was marvelous.
So who was your first goddess? Isis?
No, actually, my first goddess, this is kind of funny. Well, when I was 5, I encountered the lady, and that's what I called her when I was young, who looked very much like Yemaya or Mary, Mother Mary. But I didn't really have a name for her. I just called her the lady. And I wasn't raised Christian, so I didn't really know about Mary until I was 8 and went to Catholic school. And so really my first goddess was Hecate, the Greek goddess of the crossroads. And I had... I've always had a very strong connection to the dead. Not always in a very pleasant way. When you're young and people are standing around watching you sleep and in your room, it's not so much fun. And through studying with some metaphysical teachers and working with her, I really was able to kind of control that flow. So really, she was my first goddess, official.
Wonder what that noise is. Keeps.
You know what? It might be me. Hang on 1 second. Let me just look here.
Okay. Well, so Normandy Ellis talks about she was at 5 years old. She was setting the table up for God's wife to come and have tea with her, and so I was raised in a Christian family. Or a Baptist family. I'm not sure that's Christian. Okay, don't stone me. Uh, and it's like Will Rogers says, I don't belong to any organized religion. I'm a Baptist. So, but I always had this incredible association with the idea of a goddess, which was kind of precluded knowing anything about any goddess, was that there was somebody out there that looked like me that was in charge, or not, maybe not in charge, but I just didn't buy into this old man in a long robe with long hair and long gray fingernails.
Agreed.
So after, as you moved into this and you began to work with the tea house or coffee house, what was the next steps for you?
I actually encountered my metaphysical teachers first, and that was kind of cool because I learned a lot about the natural energy I was born with. The ability to see spirit, the ability to inflict my will upon the universe, so to speak. When I was a child, it was a little terrifying, but it was really great because I got people who kind of helped me understand how to work with it, and how to enjoy it and how to allow it to flow. I was really lucky. My family never said, no, you don't have dreams like that. No, you're not seeing that. They never told me no. In fact, to this day, when I call my cousins, sometimes they'll say to me, hi, what's going on? Did you have a dream? So my whole family kind of was very accepting of it. I began studying a lot about metaphysics, though, energy work, how to do it, all about the chakras and the aura, and what was channeling and what was being a medium, and what did I like and what did I not like. I was really lucky to encounter as well a guy who was a Gardnerian high priest, and he wasn't really affiliated with a group, and we used to talk a lot. And it was really funny. He was the one who really taught me about beginning ritual. And I did my first Samhain with him and my first circle with him. And he kind of right away said to me, well, I said, oh, well, isn't there something that you start with? And he goes, well, yeah. He goes, you start by being a priestess, so just do it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, But he was marvelous, and I learned a lot. And within about a year, I felt really comfortable in the role. And then I was starting to look around for more, What Wicca wasn't really my thing, I'm not a joiner, I'm a creator. So I was looking for more. Where's more meat? More mythology, more ancient rites and rituals, and that's when I started getting into more of heavy-duty mythology, ritual magic, ceremonial magic, the Kabbalah, and I studied. I mean, I was like a sponge, Gloria, for years. That's all I did. I just read, practiced, did all of my meditation, as often as I could, ran my energy, and just absorbed from everyone around me.
So let's say you had an eclectic education, and but out of all of that, was there one person or one strain that sort of carried you forward?
I mean, really, my best friend, and having each other, and she's very hermetic, so it's kind of funny, and she's a co-mason, and we kind of went in different directions. I was always very goddess oriented, very ritual magic oriented, very esoteric. I also had a very strong connection to the Orishas from the Yoruban traditions, and very heavily interested in the Greeks and the Hindus. So that was kind of the focus. I just absorbed as much as I could and began, putting it together as well as I could. And one time, one of my metaphysical teachers, as I was talking to him, and I was kind of complaining a little bit, and said, these books, there's just not enough in them. The rituals don't seem right to me. And he was walking ahead of me, and he turned around and he said, so write your own ritual. And I kind of went, oh. And that was 18 years ago, and I haven't stopped. So to him, I give a big nod for him kind of looking at me and saying, come on, get off the porch, run with the big dogs. Just do it.
One of the things most people don't realize when they're reading the books is the whole ritual was never put into a book.
Exactly.
The whole information was never encoded, recorded, unless it was put into a crystal or put into something that could be transferred from one priestess to another. But it was not put there in such a way that it could be handed out and given away. I was thinking about this today because there's a big flap on Facebook. There's always a big flap on Facebook.
Right.
Just depends on which one you want to follow. Well, today's one is that there's a whole bunch of people who haven't been using their real names. And Facebook is now saying, unless you tell us what your real name is, we're not going to let you post on Facebook. And some people are saying, well, I've been posting with my spirit name for years. And I thought about that, and I thought, I don't tell anybody who my spirit name is.
Right.
That's secret. That's for use in ritual. That's for use whenever I am making magic. I'm not making magic on Facebook. I mean, it may seem like magic some days, but it's not. So one of the things that I know is that which is sacred cannot be contained in a book.
Yes.
Or even as good as this book is, and the rituals in there.
And it's marvelous.
Ourselves, it doesn't contain it all. It's not the same as going to the temple in wherever the hell it is in Nevada that they've got the Sekhmet temple. The programs that we've got here, which are the recordings of the Heart of the Sun, which are fabulous, incredible.
Yep.
Not the same as going to a class with somebody, for example, Nikki Scully, who teaches in the belly of the goddess. And where you get to really encounter Sekhmet. Raven and I actually met at that class many years ago.
Oh.
So we were part of the translation there of that, and it's part of this, the idea that which is sacred could be revealed in public knowledge and public space, to me, bothers me. I don't know about you, but it bothers me.
Yep.
And this is up for me today, so since you brought it up, you get to talk about it. So what do you think about what I just said?
Well, and I agree with you. And, it's really funny because, in the beginning it was really frustrating to me because even instinctively I knew they weren't right. Something was wrong. Something was missing, And then, as I continued more of my esoteric studies, and I always remember, Deanne Fortune saying, for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, information is always available, but you have to know what you're looking at. You have to know what you're hearing. And I was really lucky again too, Gloria, because, I'm a huge book person, but I'm also a huge sponge. Like, whoever wanted to talk to me, I would sit. It was marvelous because I got to sit with all of these different elders from a lot of different traditions, and because I was kind of like Switzerland, I was kind of neutral. I hadn't joined anyone. So, they would let me ask questions. And, I get to a point where I'd bump up and they'd go, oh, no, we don't really talk about that. I go, okay. But I was like a sponge, and I kept asking and asking. And then I worked it, I did rituals, I practiced. So I think that I agree with you. There's a certain trend that's really disturbing to me, that everyone wants it to be very easy. And, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy to learn about a goddess and to, you know, do a ritual where you're actually connecting with her and, you know, merging your essence with hers. I mean, to me, really, that's the way that you get to know the deities that you're working with, is by diligent research, really hard work, you know, running rituals, doing more research, you know, and then finding a group maybe of, I always prefer to work with women, so, you know, I was really lucky. I founded a full moon group that became a women's temple down here, and we worked together for years, and it was marvelous because, you know, we could say, you know, let's try working, you know, we called it jokingly the alabaster jar, and we'd pick a goddess name out of that, and that's who the goddess was for the next full moon, and then we would pick someone to lead the ritual. It was marvelous. Everyone learned so much. You had to come the next month with your research, with your questions, with your thoughts, and then somebody would lead the ritual. And it was very traditional. I mean, you know, it was very, I say traditional. It was very research-oriented. It was very serious. It wasn't this get into a circle and you're, invoking Pan and Sekhmet. I mean, are you kidding me? Really? You know, my little snotty pants comes out there, Gloria, where I'm going, really? I mean, she'd smoke him. Are you kidding me?
I don't think I want to be in the same room with both of them at the same time.
No.
But, you know, it's like whenever we were doing Women of Wisdom up in Seattle, and we did 3-hour classes, so, which is, you know, you get enough to give you a taste. And I used to argue that what people wanted was microwave enlightenment and a taste of enlightenment. And that was all they were getting here. And the idea was that they needed to go deeper. So, you know, find a teacher, find somebody you want to work with this year or this quarter, or at least work with somebody for a while. Because all of us have, you know, I'm not going to tell you how many years I've spent doing it, but let's just put it this way, it's been more than 50. And I've spent a long time getting to the spot that I am. And in the study of working with the goddess, working with the priestess, I've probably forgotten more than a whole lot of people know. And I'm sure you're at the same place too. So the idea is that here we offer the opportunity for people to work with us. Now, come to these shows, hear Janine talk, or hear Raven talk, or hear Susan Weed. Oh my God, you want to study with Susan Weed, plan on 4 years. But these are people that are, you know, you want to find somebody that resonates with you, with who you are, and then go deep. Yeah. Don't just do this shallow dancing along, and so you keep getting just the microwave part. And I know that you have a mystery school, and I'm presuming that that's part of what the mystery school is about for you. Yeah. You want to talk about that for a bit?
I do. You know, I'm intrigued with technology, obviously. I love the fact that now we can, as a goddess spirituality community, that we can communicate, that, you know, we can reach out to each other, that you and I met, and that we're sitting here talking by video and with these marvelous women joining us. It's a miracle to me. So we began the mystery school at MotherHouse of the Goddess because I really wanted good information going out. But it's a taste. It's not, you know, it isn't giving you everything, obviously. It's more of an introductory thing. We found that a lot of women, they don't know where to begin. So we kind of help them out a little bit with a place to begin, a place to learn a little bit more about the goddess. So it just started at the end of June. The first course that we launched is called 52 Goddesses, although we kind of joke and laugh and say there's actually 54, but, you know, 52 goddesses kind of fit in our little year a little bit better. But and what you get is once a week, you get a new goddess is revealed. And we had a really good time picking the goddesses. It was really marvelous. And you get 3 sections every week. You get the ancient wisdom and what we call living mythology. So kind of how does the goddess perhaps manifest in life, or we share our own stories. And the second part is either a ceremony, a meditation, mantras, depending on who the goddess is. And then the third section is actually, it's called Diving Deep, and we give resources. So we give books, we give articles, we recommend teachers that maybe specialize in that goddess. And this way, and we did all pantheons, Gloria. It's been so much fun. And it's pretty heavy duty. We're only charging $54 because it's kind of like a gift, you know. It was something, it's like a service. And, you know, I just released the Hecate was buffed up last night and went out this morning. And, I mean, her ancient wisdom section was 4,500 words. I mean, it's not lightweight, you know. And so, but what we wanted to do was give women an opportunity to learn a little bit more about a lot of goddesses. You know, I'm big on comparative theology. So I love reading about all of them and, you know, knowing who they are and what their stories are. And I'm big on giving women an opportunity to find out what resonates for them. And then they go to the third part and they go, oh, okay, you know. So, of course, for any of the Greek, the Cretan, you know, Carol Christ. I mean, whose books are you going to read, you know? Norman D. Ellis for the Egyptians. Whose books are you going to read, you know? So I think it's really important that people have good information and that they're able to find the energies they resonate with. And I'm here, you know, I'm here, my co-creator, Tracy Paradiso, who's actually very shamanistic, so we kind of laugh because, you know, we kind of cover up 2 areas. So she's a shamanic priestess. She was part of a group for 18 years with a Norse shaman. So we, you know, we make ourselves available to our community. If people have questions, email us, and we'll do our very best to direct you where you need to be. And I believe that that's part of my service, you know, to Goddess, period, all of them. So did that answer that?
Answers that. Actually, Nikki Scully and I did a program several years ago called Becoming an Oracle, in which we took you on an around-the-world journey to all the different oracles, starting in Egypt and ending in Egypt, and voyaging up to Norway and over to down to the ayahuasca shaman of South America and on from there. And one of the things that I've always, I did 17 out of the 19 journeys. I channeled them up for her. And it was, we taught a class about it as well, where we also taught, you know, this is the Norse runes. And we had somebody there who was a rune master, not me. We had somebody there, you know, I was there doing tarot or crystals or something, and there was somebody else there that was a ayahuasquero, and you know, that have really specialized in these different oracles. And the question was, you know, which one of the oracles do you want to use? And to get to know it. Because, you know, I've studied the tarot now since I was 7 years old, and one of these days I hope to master it. But it truly, the tarot is one of those things where there's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and it's not only the layers inside of me, but the layers inside of the people that I read for. So when, and by the way, we have the world's best reader on the show tonight, Miss Catherine Ravenwood. So whenever she reads for someone, or when I read for someone, you know, we're learning more. It's like every time is a lesson. Every time is an experience. Every time we work with crystals, it's a new experience. Every time we work with any goddess, it is a new experience. Even the ones that I've been working with for a very long time. And I work with gods and goddesses, particularly from Egypt, because I work with Thoth and Anubis and Ptah and Osiris and many of the others. And you know, sometimes Thoth shows up with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and we're going to go out and rustle up some cows. You know, I don't know what it is. And then
Yeah.
other days we're dealing with Sekhmet, and you know, she's a healer this day, and then the next day maybe she's not. So
Right.
working with these different entities, and I do believe that they are as real as we are. They may not have bodies in this 3D dimension, but they are real and they are available and they are willing at a level that we cannot imagine to provide us with information and wisdom and support. And I know that you have founded the program down there, the MotherHouse of the Goddess. So tell me a little bit about how that works. And I understand that's a little bit different than the mystery school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, MotherHouse of the Goddess is really the community, and it was really funny because in 2005 I retired from the Women's Temple here because I was moving out of state, getting married. You know, I met a man, and you know, oh, love, and off I went. So, out in the wilderness for several years. And, you know, in returning to Florida a couple of years ago, minus the man and the love, and the, you know, which was all fine, really. But, oh, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. You know, when I came back and I just, you know, I've been a writer and a blogger for many years, and I really love the interaction online. I love the ability to reach out to people. So I thought, you know, I just want to create a site because I create all my own sites. And I, you know, I have a social media company and I have a food business, and so I do all that. And I thought I want to create a site that is for the goddess. That's a place where women can gather if they so choose, if it resonates with them. And we can talk about things. And we can also talk about things like, you know, self-love and self-care and, you know, some of the things that have become very buzzy words, but are really important, I think, on this journey to the divine feminine. And it was so funny. So like a little over a year ago, I was talking to my best friend, and she said to me, well, what's the name? And I, you know, we've been kind of trying to work it out, and I turned around and I said, the MotherHouse of the Goddess. And the idea behind that is that it is just that. It's a MotherHouse. And every time we have a new woman that comes as a contributor or joins the community or whatever, it's like you can almost feel like a room is being added on to the MotherHouse. You know, we have plenty of room for everyone. I respect everyone's path as long as they're respectful of everyone else's. So, and I agree with you as far as finding people who are, you know, experts. You know, we have Amantha Murphy, who is an amazing priestess and healer, channel. I mean, she's just amazing, that lives in Killarney, Ireland. Well, I don't talk about Bridget. I don't talk about, you know, those goddesses. When I need, you know, somebody to talk about them, I go to Amantha because that's who she works with every single day. You know, I mean, I can talk about them mythologically, but I don't work with those goddesses, you know, those energies. You know, we have Mary Lamondo, who is a woman that does a lot with the Egyptians. She went to the American University in Cairo. She has a home in Luxor. When I need something Egyptian, I go to Mary, you know, because while I know quite a bit about them, it's not my specialty, you know. So, and we have an ayahuasquero as well, one of our shamans who goes down to Peru on a regular basis and just got back 2 weeks ago. So we're really building a community at MotherHouse that kind of encompasses everything, you know. That we have people and resources that we can refer, we can connect, and it's a gathering place. It's just kind of a place to come. You can read some good articles, connect with us on Facebook, and have a good time. And we do our radio show every week, Goddess Alive. So,
Well, that sounds fabulous. And one of Raven and I's goals is to start the Goddess Ranch, which is our retirement home.
Oh, I love that.
Physical.
Yes.
So we're very determined that we know that as we get older and as we age, we won't be able to continue to live by ourselves. I'm sitting here with a husband who's going through a lot and going into a nursing home, and I've been working with caretakers, and Raven's dealing with her sister and her brother who are both in the hospital, and it's just really apparent that, if you don't have somewhere, you can have all the money in the world, but you've got to have somewhere to go where the people speak your language. And I was talking about this the other day, that it's just so important to be able to have the people there that, when you say, well, I'm going to be doing a ritual to Sekhmet, they don't look at you like you just flew off the top of the
Right. Well, it's really funny, Gloria, because I really envision one day having a physical MotherHouse. And my goal for that is, it's really funny. I'm going to be 45 this year, so I don't really have any intention on marrying again, or I just don't have a need for a partner in my life. And I've been kind of that way since I was young. I wasn't one of those, oh, I want to get married kind of girls when I was young. So it's really funny. Sally Kempton calls it a Saraswati woman. A woman who chooses her spirituality over a male, or a partner, any kind of partner. So anyway, and it's funny because I have a lot of women friends that are kind of going through divorces or separating and are kind of in the same place, that are between like 45, 55, and they're going, I'd rather be on my own at this point. I'm having too much fun with what I'm doing to, bring a guy back into the mix, except maybe for some fun. And so we kind of laugh and we just say, one day we'll have same thing, a goddess ranch, a MotherHouse with a goddess, and we can all be crazy cat ladies together. So, and goddess ladies, and invoking Sekhmet and Hecate and Oshun, and we'll have a really good time.
Well, I think that it's also, that's something that used to be. I mean, you talk about the MotherHouse. Well, the MotherHouse used to be the nunnery, the head house of the group, whether it was whichever one of the groups they were, or whichever they followed. And one of the things that happened was that when women got older, and they no longer wanted to be married, and they no longer wanted to keep a house, they went and lived at the MotherHouse. Now, they didn't necessarily become nuns. They didn't necessarily move into that space. But what they did was they went to this place where there were other women, and they could worship as they chose. And anybody who thinks nuns aren't witches hasn't met many of the modern day nuns. So
I spent 10 years with the Ursulines.
Yes.
That's where I went from 3rd grade through high school. I was with the Ursulines. Our convent was over 100 years old. And let me tell you, Gloria, my very first day, it was the first of Catholic school. I had never been in a church. I had no idea what to expect. I was sent to Catholic school because of the academics. And I walked into this courtyard, and there was this, between the school and the convent was just enormous, this big stone, gorgeous building. And in this courtyard was like an 8-foot statue, gorgeous, of the Virgin Mary, adorned with flowers. Well, I looked at that and I went, she kind of looks like the lady, I thought, this is pretty cool. And they had really cool things in the convent, like a stone chapel and a purple tabernacle, and you know, it was really great. The nuns were very good to me. Even though I wasn't Catholic, they were marvelous to me. You know, for the most part, because I was bright, and they liked that, and they wanted bright young women. So I agree with you. I mean, that's probably where the seed was planted. You know, I used to stay after school until my dad could come and pick me up at the convent until like 5 or 5:30 in the evening. And I would be in the library in a big armchair going through their library, you know, with a book and, you know, running up and down the hallways. So I'm sure that's where it was seeded. I wanted my own mother house.
You just wanted to grow up and be Mother Superior.
I did. We had a great one.
So what's your birth sign?
I'm a Libra. I'm a Libra, but with an Aries moon and a Leo rising.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
I was reading something from Monty Farber today. He says if the sun is in your first house, then everything is about you, no matter what. And I'm going, well, yeah, of course it is.
Right. You know, but I have a lot of Libra. You know, my Mercury, my Jupiter, and my Sun are all in Libra. So I do like to work with others, you know. I also like to be in charge. You know?
I understand that totally.
I think you do, yeah.
Taurus, Aries rising, and Leo moon.
Oh, we're flipped. I love that, Gloria. Yeah.
So, and I've always said I have a curse of Libras in my life.
Really?
One of these days they're actually going to make up their minds.
Oh, well, I've got that Aries moon. I'm very jumpy, you know.
My mother, my grandmother, my brother, my first husband, my second husband, my first husband, my third husband, my son, my grandson, and my granddaughter are all Libras. At any given time, deciding what is for dinner can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Taurus. You know, you eat it or you don't eat it. That's all there is.
Right, right.
Let's just get on with this. Like I was saying earlier, if it wasn't for Trader Joe's and Costco, I'd starve to death.
Oh, my.
You know, they prepare food for me. I never did this preparing food for one person. It's hard.
It is.
So, you know, I want to talk about that because that's another issue that you have, which is the issue of food, the hungry goddess. So tell us a little bit about Miss Hungry Goddess.
Well, I was really lucky to have been raised again by parents who are huge foodies. And, you know, I had half of my family is Pennsylvania Dutch, so I grew up around farms and, you know, where you got freshly butchered meat and fresh vegetables and, you know, I thought that's how everybody ate, you know. And my parents, again, were big foodies. They had a gourmet group that lasted for years when I was young and entertained a lot. So I grew up with an enormous love for food. And I really enjoy cooking, you know. It's kind of a respite time for me. I always say making risotto is like meditation for me. You know, it's relaxing. It takes a couple hours, you know. So I started a food
site. The wine.
Exactly. You have the wine and the vegetables and the cheese, and you make your own stock, and it's like, you know, it's a process. It's beautiful. So I began another food site a couple of years ago, but 3 years ago, it began to change, and I was like feeling this change, you know, just like the goddess, saying, and it wanted to be the Hungry Goddess. Everyone gets a kick out of the name. And I have a really good time with it, and I say it's food for the ravenous soul, and I kind of just do what I want, you know. My food journey has been kind of interesting. I've really moved to, you know, more gluten-free, a lot more healthy. I was diagnosed with lupus about 13 years ago. Thankfully, I'm in remission, and I've lost about 80 pounds in the past 2 years. So
Wow.
after gaining them after leaving my husband, I gained a whole bunch of weight from depression and emotions, you know, and then in the past 2 years I lost about 80 pounds. So, and I don't diet, you know, I love to eat, obviously. So what I do is I decide how I have to make choices, and things like quinoa and you know, gluten-free, and really getting into the veggie scene is been really fun. And having Hungry Goddess helps me do it. So I just did an avocado egg salad, so it's on the blog.
Okay, so the Hungry Goddess primarily is the blog that you create under that name, or I wasn't quite clear whether you actually went out and cooked for people.
Oh yeah, no, actually hungrygoddess.com is where I have all the recipes. So when I started cooking, and because I do a lot of social media, and I led a Twitter party, or a Twitter chat rather, every week for 2 years. It was one of the top 3 Twitter chats, food Twitter chats on Twitter for 2 years. So I met a lot of the representatives from different companies, and so now actually food is a huge part of my business. I do social media for some food companies. I run campaigns for them, and I create recipes. So they'll call me and say, you know, Whole Foods contacted me a couple weeks ago and said, we really want to get the word out about our cherries. What do you think? And I said, oh, I'll do a cherry week, you know. So we, you know, they pay me to create recipes, and then they, you know, send me a gift card, and I go over and I buy all the ingredients, and, you know, I talk about Whole Foods because that's my happy place. I love their produce section. And it's really, you know, it's very spiritual for me in some ways. So one of my goals this year is, in the next year coming, is to start putting together some recipes on MotherHouse that are ritual oriented, that are for the goddesses, and recipes that are created for them, and that would also be good for like potlucks or ritual gatherings and things. So it'd be kind of fun.
Well, that would be fascinating. You know, one of the things, I mean, one of the things as a publisher and a person who works with authors that I know is that cookbooks, recipe books, are one of the few kinds of books that are still being published on a regular basis and still selling, and there are still cookbook stores. I mean, you know, there are stores dedicated to cookbooks. Some of them are adjuncts to kitchen supply places, but a lot of them are purely cookbooks. And because people who are into cooking collect cookbooks apparently at quite a phenomenal rate. I over the years have collected a number of them and given them away, and then collected another whole bunch of them, and now I don't use any of them. So. But
I read them. So what I do, it's really funny when I'm thinking about recipes. I get some of my favorite cookbooks together, and like I flip through, and I'm looking at like, oh, how are they pairing the ingredients, or, you know, oh, well, if they're doing that with this ingredient, then maybe I could do it with this. You know, it's a stimulus for me. So that's why I buy cookbooks. I don't use a lot of recipes. That was the hard part about becoming a recipe creator for me, was actually writing the recipe down, because I don't usually cook with recipes. So it was interesting.
But in a way, I mean, in a different way, rituals are recipes.
They are.
Because you know, when you call in the spirits, there is a certain way that you do that, and in the different traditions it changes from one way to the other. The same way that if you are cooking Italian food, you start with something different than if you're cooking Caribbean food or Russian food. And so in many ways, the creation of a ritual and the creation of a recipe are not that different.
I love that, Gloria. Yes, and you are so correct. And so I guess maybe it shouldn't have been such a surprise that I was good at creating recipes because I love doing the ritual part so much. And so I think that's fascinating. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
And very true.
And even I've never been a Wiccan. I've been a witch for a long time, but Wiccan was much too organized for me.
Yeah.
And but the idea of a book of shadows. And when I was younger, I had a book that I didn't want to have just a book of shadows, so I had a book of light and shadows. And half the book was white pages and half of it was black pages. And I would record things in there and draw pictures, and it was a way for me to remember the dark and the light.
Yeah.
And I've never been one of these candy fluff princess goddess people.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's all about everything is wonderful and it's all good because well, I suppose it's partly from my upbringing, which wasn't that pleasant, and partly from the fact that I spent a number of years studying voodoo. And you don't study voodoo unless you understand that there is both positive and a negative valence of anything that you're doing there. And that which gives you great power can also harm. One way of looking at it is for the example of electricity. Electricity can cook a man's dinner. It can also cook a man.
Right.
Electricity doesn't care.
Yes.
So as we move forward into this space where we're looking at how we're using our power, how we're using our recipes, whether we're making risotto or avocado egg salad, or whether we're making a ritual that is honoring Hecate or honoring Sekhmet, we are dealing in power.
Yes.
And it is important that we accept that and honor that and move that through our bodies in such a way that we can be present with it. And at least I think so. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. And, one of the things I think that was really frustrating to me in some of the, kind of fluffy books that are out there, is that I really felt like they didn't take this power seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I will not mention the author, but there's a book that actually sends people to the crossroads at midnight on Samhain to invoke Hecate.
Ooh, really?
Oh, yeah. I've been ranting about this for years. I find that the height of irresponsibility, because either it's real or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
My gods are real. Gloria, I believe your gods are real.
Yeah.
And therefore, I would not send anyone, just anyone, from a book to the crossroads at midnight on Samhain to invoke Hecate. I think it's the height of irresponsibility. So I think that in approaching, and if you've worked with the Loas,
Mm-hmm.
well, or the Orishas, I mean, there are just energies that, as you said, electricity doesn't care. I explain that to people about that, like to kind of romanticize fairies. There's no humanity there. There's no conscience there. They're elementals. Elementals can only do what they do, and that is to abide by their nature. And a salamander's elemental nature is fire. So
Right.
if your house catches on fire, it's not because something went wrong. The elemental was simply acting in accordance with its nature. Staying with the gods. Staying with the gods. And, that's why I really recommend study, and once you reach a certain point in your study, you have to find people to talk to. You have to find practitioners that have worked with that god or goddess. that have worked in that realm, because, you know, as we started in the beginning, everything's not in the books, you know. I've been working with the Orishas at a non-initiate level, gosh, since 1996, 97.
Mm.
I recently, finally, found my padrino, my godfather. And I recently began my initiatory path in Lukumi.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so blessed. I'm so excited. And had to go through the divination process of, did the Orishas want me? Was that gonna, you know, is that what was gonna happen? And so for me, it's really cool because after, you know, 18 years, 19 years, Gloria, I'm new again, you know. I'm starting over. It's like I'm the baby in the class. And it's an amazing experience because you get to learn again, you know. And I think that that's one of the things that really good priestesses do all the time. They don't stop learning. They don't think they know it all. You know, the joy is in the adventure. The joy is in revealing the layers. And it's a powerful experience. It's a really powerful experience. You know, to begin working with another set, you know, in a different way, you know.
One of my teachers tells a story that she was asked to come and invoke spirit for a concert that she was at, and there was this incredible Santeria band that was going to be playing there, so she decided she would invoke the Orishas, and she did. She just didn't dismiss them. There were lightning strikes for 20 miles around that night.
Well, yeah, says hello.
And so we had a discussion about that and what she had to do, and she had to basically thank them. And you know, what had happened is they had shortened her time, and you know, so that she didn't have, you know, she didn't have the time to do the calling in of the ritual and also the dismissal in the time frame that they gave her. And it was just one of those things where, frankly, she should have said to him, look, I can't do it in this amount of time. If you want me to do this, I'm going to have to do, you know, I have to have more time, or we're going to do something different.
Right, right.
I don't think they realized the power they were working with, either the power of the priestess who was calling them in, or the power of the Loas and the Orishas that they were calling in. And you know, you bring in Shango, you better be prepared to deal with Shango. You bring in, whether it's Yamaja or Oshun, you better be prepared to deal with them.
Yep.
And there's certain things, I mean, whether you bring in Sekhmet or Isis, they expect responses. They expect you to provide them with a space that is appropriate for them. I cannot say this strong enough that if you're going to walk down this path, you know, there are many paths. And there are paths where it does not require you to channel spirit through your body.
Right.
You know, you can be a Lutheran or a Methodist. Or you can go and be a Buddhist and believe we're all one. But if you're going to channel power through your body, through your hands, through your eyes, through your mouth, then you have to step up and say, yes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it in an appropriate manner, and I'm going to learn how to do it before I get to the place that I'm standing in front of a group. And you know, I go crazy when I hear, you know, about some little Wiccan community out there, and they've suddenly decided that it'd be really interesting to study Santeria, or it'd be really interesting to bring in Sekhmet this weekend.
Right.
And I want people to understand that what we're doing here is serious. You know, it's a lot of fun. It's great. And one of the things that I'm delighted with is the the people who are coming out. I mean, we've got, even tonight, we've got a woman from Sao Paulo who's on the call, and she's stepping into that space of being a high priestess. But if you're going to do that, do it with all your heart, and don't do it leaving your mind behind, because truthfully, it requires understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and heart to be able to step into that space. And Kimberly, I think that that's one of the things that you're providing with your MotherHouse and with your mystery school and with the opportunities people are having to study with you.
Thank you, Gloria. It's really important to me, honestly. I mean, it's like my soapbox, you know. And I'll share, if you don't mind, a quick story about Hecate. When I was in 2000, I was in a, thankfully I have my gorgeous son who's almost 17, 2 years old, and I had met a guy who kind of wanted to, well, let's, get married, have children, and this was maybe an option. And it didn't feel right to me at the time. So I went into ritual, and I said to Hecate, give me a sign, because I need to understand what my role is in life. Is my role to continue as a priestess, to continue my spiritual development, to continue on that path? Or is my role, to have more children, get married, and see what happens? 2 weeks, Gloria. 2 weeks later, I was rushed to the emergency room. They found an ovarian tumor. They did not let me leave. I had to have a partial. They took an ovary and a half. Left, because I was in a Catholic hospital, they left a half of the diseased ovary inside of me. 3 months later, it regenerated. I had to have a total hysterectomy. Now, the night I had my total hysterectomy, my Hecate in my altar room at the house, I was living communally at the time. It was really fun. We had like 5 different people that lived there. Me and my son, and I had four roommates. Everybody was on different esoteric paths and everything. It was a really fun big house, and we had a good time. In my altar room, the night I had my hysterectomy, my Hecate toppled from the top of the altar. She fell and split right across the middle where my incision was.
Whoa. Do I have your attention now? She said.
That's what she said. That is exactly what she said. And while I've always said, the Orishans have my head, but Hecate has my ovaries, my uterus. These are not energies that you play with, and these are not energies to take lightly. In the greater pagan community down here, I had a group of women that I took out of a ritual because at Samhain, the person that was supposed to be holding the West was so drunk they vomited. And I'm doing this. I don't work that way. So, I take it very seriously. I do. I really do. And I believe that you need to do your research. And I also believe that if you're interested in gentle goddesses, if you're interested, you don't have to jump right in with Kali and Sekhmet and Hecate and Ereshkigal. There are goddesses that are gentler on an approach. Kuan Yin is the nicest goddess I know. Working with Kuan Yin, working with her mantras, working with Tara, working with her mantras. Those are really great ways if people, kind of get that flavor of the Hindu and like doing mantra work. There are goddesses you can approach that way. But, these are big energies.
Well, I applaud you for your work and for your experience, exploring all the different aspects. And as we're coming to the end of the show, I'm sure you would like to invite people to explore the Mother House of the Goddess. And also, if you have anything else you'd like to talk to them about.
Yeah, well, just our next course, the next course that I'm opening up is called Writing the Goddess. And it's actually my personal methodology with a little bit of art journaling thrown in on how I research a goddess. And it's 30 days. And each day we go into a different aspect. So in the beginning you pick a goddess, and we're going to take 30 days and we're going to spend 30 days with that goddess and go into every aspect of her story, her attributes, her essence, and that'll be opening next Monday, September 1st.
So if you're interested in that, where would they, besides going to the Mother House of the Goddess, is there a place there they can sign up to let you know they're interested?
Yes. If you go to mysteryschoolofthegoddess.com, we have an email sign up, and all the information is there, as well as any classes that are open. And it'll be 30 days, $18, not too much, just to kind of cover a few expenses here and there, and we'll have some fun. And it's self-study, so once it's open, they can sign up anytime.
All right, fabulous. Well, that's incredible. And I want to thank you for being here this evening. And we want to remind you that we will be back next week. Now, in September, I'm going to be changing from Thursday to Tuesday. I've had enough people tell me that Wednesday doesn't work. They have things on Wednesdays. But Thursday is not working for some people. They're already into the weekend or whatever. So we're going to move it to Tuesday. We'll try that out for a while. But next Thursday, we'll still be on Thursday, and we're going to be having Ruth Barrett. And Ruth Barrett is incredible. If you didn't see the show with Ruth Barrett and Margarita Rigoloso, you missed a great show. It's still available in A Gathering of Priestesses, which is a very nominal cost for all of the programs that we recorded, and continues to have programs, and will continue to have additional courses as well. But Marguerite is the author of Women's Rights, Women's Mysteries, Intuitive Ritual Creation, which was published by Llewellyn. And she's also educated, took over Z Budapest, LA coven, whenever the #1 coven, whenever Z decided to step down from that. And she's, to put it mildly, incredibly brilliant, incredibly beautiful, and incredibly connected. I mean, everybody in the goddess community keeps coming back to me, well, you have to have Ruth Barrett on. So we're going to have her on as a solo interview, and she's agreed to be on next week, and I'm delighted. And we will be talking with her about what is going on in her life and what's going on with her in her future. I want to thank Kimberly for being here and telling us about the Mother House of the Goddess and the Hungry Goddess and Shakti Woman, and my goodness, you're worse than me. You want to compare number of domain names.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gloria. You are doing blessed work, and it's amazing, and I'm so glad we connected. Thank you, and thank you for everyone for viewing.
Yeah, and I want to say also we're still in the process of getting the Priestess magazine put together. We do have a September 1st deadline for the special issue, which will come out mid-September. October 1st will be our first real issue. I am still looking for some articles. And if you would like to contribute, we'd be happy to have you there. You basically get a link back to your website and the incredible gratitude of all of us that read it. If some point maybe in the future we can pay for articles, but right now that's what we're going to be giving you. And I hope you can contribute. We have a really interesting group of women who are coming together to help create this. and it will be available on the Apple newsstand, and it will also be available in the gatheringofpriestesses.com membership site, so that will be a benefit. So that's a $4.95 a month subscription that will be free to the people who are in a gathering of priestesses. So I hope you can join us. We are creating some other things, and we'll tell you about them when we're ready. Right now, they're still in the cooking phase. So I want to thank you all for being with us, and all of you who stayed with us throughout this entire time. And those, I want to say one of the things that I'm really loving is the fact I'm looking on YouTube and I'm seeing that there are more than 60% of the people who are watching these shows are staying with it the entire time, listening right up to the last minute. So I want to thank you that are listening to this in the future who are on YouTube, because it really makes a difference, because we know that you're spreading the word and letting people know that there is a new voice in town, and you are part of that voice, because it is, you see, a gathering of priestesses, and we are all there. We are all the women who channel the divine, and may you be blessed as we move forward into this next week, and be safe. It's Labor Day. There's crazy people on the roads. Don't want to lose any of you. So thank you, Kimberly, and good night.
Thank you.